All right. He was great. He was great. Oh, is this for me?
Yeah, actually frozen.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is actually frozen, but it will take 1 minute.
Unlike my heart, this will thaw. I'm so glad that just went with my instincts, because I was so busy and I thought, I don't know if I have time to see Nico in time, and I wanted to see it at the Film Forum, for the big reopening of the Film Forum. And then I saw your performance, Trine, and I said, oh no, I have to talk to her. What a great, what an incredible job.
Thanks a lot.
Were you familiar with Nico or Krista? Were you familiar with her? Did you grow up with her, knowing about her?
No, not at all.
No?
I would have been one of the journalists, like in the film, asking her about Andy Warhol or Velvet Underground. That was basically what I knew, the Banana Record and her model career, pictures, images.
So, the thing that makes her bitter, or one of the things that makes Nico, who you portrayed, so bitter, was that's kind of the way everybody associated her with. The journalist at the beginning wanted to know about her relationships with men, Although Velvet Underground had a female drummer, right?
I don't know about that.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You're the expert.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm certain they were an exceptional band. They also had a female. I think she was the drummer. Was a woman. Okay. I should know that for as a fact. But you maybe will look it up and pictures. Anyway, so it was interesting to learn that she was still 10, 15, 20 years later still struggling with that, wanting her to be known for her own identity.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think she struggled with being such a beautiful woman. I mean, she was maybe the most beautiful woman in the world back then.
So again, good casting.
Well, I didn't play her in that period.
No, that's great. I know.
But I mean, I think she wanted to be respected for her art and not her beauty, and that image of the beauty girl that was too narrowed in a way, and just being part of the Velvet Underground. Of course, it was important, and it was 3 very good songs. I mean, very iconic songs that she sang, but it was only 3 songs, and of course she wanted to be connected with other things also, and not only Andy Warhol and Velvet Underground. And I don't, as far as I know, it was not like only good things in that period. I mean, it was a complicated relationship, I think, with her and them.
So what kind of research did you do?
Of course, I mean, Susanna did a lot of the directors.
Nicchiarelli.
Yes, she did a lot of research for the script, and she talked to Alan Wise, the manager that she has had in Manchester, and the character Richard is based on him. And she talked to Ari, her son.
Right.
And she talked to a Czech promoter, so the whole Czech sequence, the whole Prague sequence is inspired of that, by that. And she talked to an Italian guy that told her things that inspired her to the spaghetti scene, and and then of course Susanna told me a lot of things. I didn't meet these people, but Susanna told me a lot of things. And then I saw a documentary called Nico Icon. It's really good.
Oh, I've seen it. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And then I saw some interviews I could find from the old period, the late period, and some concerts. And when I met Susanna, she came to Copenhagen. She sent me the script, and I was very interested. And then she flew up to Copenhagen, and we had dinner together, and we clicked immediately. But she said to me, "You don't look like Nico, you don't sing like Nico, but I think that you are the right one to play the character." And
she gave you all the reasons why you weren't. Why did she? But why?
Because I am
just a gut?
Obviously not. I mean, and that because to start with, I was of course very afraid of taking this challenge. It's a big challenge to play a real person, and so she in a way just convinced me that because I am obviously not Nico, and I'm an actress. I live on imagination, so that's what I do. Then we decided to do our version in the spirit of, because she wanted me to sing the songs, and we went to the studio and tried different ways, and then suddenly we found
something that worked.
Voice.
Is it important? I mean, to find the soul or the essence of the person you're portraying, as opposed to an imitation. You referenced to something of a pressure to do right by her memory. There's still probably many people who, love her and her music. But is it important to do an impression, an impersonation?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, it's very important not to do an imitation.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
And
because some people do choose that. Some actors or filmmakers they choose to do more of an impersonation or an imitation rather than. Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to do that, and Susanna didn't want to do that.
Right.
So that was very important.
Because you might have cast somebody who looked closer to
exactly, and had like more. Yeah, I don't know, another voice that could maybe.
But we're going to get to that because your vocals are.
When I was 14, I was in the Eurovision Song Contest in Denmark.
In which one?
It's a European Song Contest.
Oh, you were? This is interesting. Maybe get this. Just because I want to hear this story. I'm sorry. I want just one clip. I'm just going to use. I'm not going to overdo it. I promise. No. I want to respect it. But
I start over again. I've been a radio reporter, so I know how it is. When I was
fortunate
a child.
For me. Yeah.
No, but I was in '87. I was in the Eurovision Song Contest. It is a Eurovision show, and I did the Danish show, and I was number 3rd in the Danish show.
Out of how many?
Out of 10, it's like
great.
10, but it's like a big show. So overnight, I was well known in Denmark.
Sort of the American Idol of its day.
At that time, it was the only show you could have in television, basically.
Okay.
And I sang a song called "Dancing in the Moonlight." And
wait a minute, "Dancing in the Moonlight"?
No, it's not.
Not
it's
the
in Danish. It's called
King
"Danse
Harvest
i
version.
Måneskin."
Oh, okay. How do you say it again?
Danse i Måneskin.
In Måneskin.
You can Google it. It's on the internet, and you can see me as 14 years old, and with hair like this, dancing and singing. And
did you have big hair?
No, I didn't have. Yeah, I had long hair, but like in the 80s,
right? Sure.
If you were a pop girl, it was like this.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of.
Yes.
Madonna.
Right, the bracelets, and all sorts of adornments. Yeah.
I was kind of a weird combination of a lot of people, inspired by a lot of things at that time. But I did 2 records. I had a band that was, they were around 30 old guys, and I was 14,
Really?
And I suddenly I went to school, and then in the weekends I was out touring with a band, so I could use that as a background, of course.
Were your parents, what did they make of this? When you're 14, you're supposed to be in school studying, and you're out with these older guys. They were okay with it?
They kind of just allowed me to do a lot of things. And I met good people. It's always about the people you meet.
Were you in Copenhagen, or were you up in the Jutland, or is that
No, I was in Funen.
Okay.
What is going on out there?
I don't know, but maybe I don't know. Could you ask them to stop? You got plenty.
No, but this is like...
I was going to say, look up on the internet, look up Velvet Underground. I'm interested to know who the members are. But anyway, they're stopped right in front. We have to wait for this to end anyway. Because it's typical. I mean,
but what is it? Is it
that could
police
be,
or...
It sounds like police, but isn't it Tucker?
Yeah,
Tucker.
But
Mo
also
Tucker.
in that period?
Thank you.
I'm not sure. Was it also in that period?
In the 80s or in the 60s?
No, I mean in the 60s.
Yeah, she was the principal drummer. She was the principal in the original lineup. Right? Is that what we're saying? Mo Tucker? Or did she take over for somebody? Probably died of an overdose.
Angus McLeese in 1965.
Oh, okay.
And I believe she continues on.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. Anyway. So you brought this your vocal and musical
I'm just
knowledge.
saying
So you had a confidence in that.
That was also one of the reasons
Yes.
why Susanna wanted me to play this part, because she wanted me to sing, and she
Yes.
realized that I could sing, but I don't have a voice like Nico.
What
of
is
course.
that range called? It's like she had a very almost like a male would be a baritone, but I don't know what the female version is of that. Like contra. You don't know. But I wonder what that.
I mean,
because she sang at the very low.
Yeah, she had this deep voice. Also, when she spoke, it was
right.
Down there,
Mhm.
and very original. And she was not always in tune, and
Right.
but she had this very interesting spirit, and you listened, you know.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
she had a message, and that was the most important thing for me, to have a message.
Mhm.
So we treated the songs as monologues in the film. So we went to the studio and tried out different things. I've also done a lot of experimental theater where I scream and do different weird stuff. So I'm not afraid of trying out.
Right.
So we tried out, and it was too much, and then suddenly there the character was, and then we started to work with the different songs. Different emotional state of minds for the character throughout the film.
Yeah.
And that was the key work for the character, because I mean it starts with the music, and there are 9 songs in the film, and it's a big part of the whole thing. So that's where the character started to be built up.
Mm. The film shows it's sort of in the last 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years of her life. 86 to 80 through 88, where she was touring. Where she had her British manager who was in love with her, right? And she was addicted to heroin, and she brought on a young band with her to travel with her right through Europe. I guess were they all just in Europe, pretty much? I can't remember.
Well, in the film they are in Europe.
Yeah, it was a kind of European. That makes sense. And then as you mentioned, the high point was this underground performance, because it was against the regulations or law, I don't know, in Prague.
In Prague,
to do a performance like this was totally...
Yeah, it was illegal.
Yeah.
I just, the film was in Karlovy Vary, and I had a Q&A with the Czech audience, Czech Republic audience.
Yeah.
And they were... I mean, they connected so much with that scene, of course, because they remembered how it was they were not allowed to hear rock music, and they had to go to these illegal concerts, you know.
Right.
And that is a very interesting scene where they risk so much to bring her, and she only cares about hearing, basically, to start with.
She only cares about
heroin.
Yeah.
She can't get her heroin.
Yeah.
And she's desperate.
Right.
She's a junkie,
you
know?
Yeah.
And she doesn't give a fuck about what they have risked. And then in the end, she is on stage and she connects with the audience, and it's like the whole anger and everything comes out. And it's a very important scene in the film. It's a liberation for the character, and it's a point of no return, where she starts to become clean and reunited with her son again.
What did you make of her relationship with her son Ari? He was almost immediately after she gave birth back. She was probably an addict then, but she was also touring, and she was very selfish, and she decided to hand over Ari to her parents to raise.
Not
or did they offer the father. That's right. I'm sorry.
Parents. Yeah,
I'm going to pull a radio thing and rephrase.
It
is. Yes, right.
It's a very complicated story.
Yeah, I would normally correct myself, but there's no point. Rephrase. Not going to do it. I'm secure in myself. And then but this is a burden she carries around. At least this is what you think it is. There's a sense of deep sense of regret that she carries around with her, and maybe the cause for a lot of her internal conflict.
I definitely think so. I mean,
Because
I think she struggled with a lot of things.
Yes,
and
clearly.
I was very inspired by an interview I saw where she was asked, "Do you regret anything?" And I mean, if you were asked that, I mean, I guess you could say a lot of things. I could at least say a lot of things that I
would
regret.
start with, I regret that she didn't bring, that Nico didn't bring up her son. Oh, you mean me?
No,
yes,
but I mean,
Yeah.
but she just answers, "No, I don't regret anything other than I was born a woman and not a man."
Wow. Yeah.
That was very inspiring when I had to work with the character,
Mm-hmm.
because it tells me a lot of things. It tells me that she doesn't fit. She's such a beautiful woman with this masculine voice.
Right.
She's a mother that can't be a mother. She is, a woman in the male business. She's
That's
so
right.
beautiful that she can't get respected for her art. It's so conflicted.
It is. She was going to eventually hit some sort of wall, because if she regretted from an early time her looks, her own outer persona, right? This model, this beautiful woman, and she was very unhappy with that from the start. But at first, she just went with it, obviously, because she took modeling jobs, didn't she, and things like that. But sooner or later, that conflict is going to get in the way, and it did in a very destructive, self-destructive way.
And I think it's an existential thing for her. It's not that she wanted to be a man. That's not what I read out of that sentence. But still, it's just a lot of things that inspired me for the work, at least. And also, I think she struggled a lot with being a German. She made up stories all the time about her father, who he was, and she also had some provocative attitude to that subject, and
Again,
she was full of contradictions, and that is fascinating. That is life. That is human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, I always look for that when I work in a character. I always look for the opposite when I work. But here you had it all from the beginning of. It's like such a strong woman that is so vulnerable. A drug addict that didn't die young. She's just on drugs, It's just a fact. Well, a lot of things. She is so contradicted all the time, and it's so fascinating in a way.
Well, Trine Dyrholm is the actor. She's in a film called Nico, 1988, being distributed by Magnolia Pictures here in the United States, and it's currently screening at Filmform. Is there any other theaters, Leah, we should mention, or is it going to be opening wider and might not be your? Yeah. I understand. I caught you off guard
And then
too.
it opens in LA today.
It also opens in Los Angeles today, Friday. Whereas we sit here, today's Friday, August 3rd.
It is
yes,
Friday
it is.
today.
I know. I can't.
It's today. It opens today.
It opens today in New York. In Los Angeles.
Actually.
But it's only a film form in New York. Okay, got it, I understand.
Yeah.
And I urge everyone to go see this beautiful. It's a dark film, but it's also contains some beautiful performances and some fantastic. Just a fantastic performance at its core by you. And are you going back to Denmark to? Do you do theater? Because they have a rich theater.
I've done a lot of theater, but I haven't done theater for 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, because
okay.
I have
just
done
in such demand.
Films
television?
And television.
There's a lot of television coming out of Scandinavia.
I've done a TV series called The Legacy, where I also directed some episodes.
Really?
And
Nice.
then I've done a lot of films lately, also in Germany and Sweden and Denmark. And So yeah, I mean, I'm looking for good work.
I understand.
For challenging characters and good people. And the older I get, the more challenging it has to be, I
understand. But at least I think it's harder here than for women, I think. But I don't want to get off into
it's not often that you get a character like Nico 1988 on your table. It's a very complex female character, and sure. I'm very, very grateful for that offer. So I mean, but actually, I think that it's also a way of thinking. So when I, for instance, get a script, and if I am not so satisfied with the character, then I can also be the one to put in things, you know. It's also my responsibility to make it better or more nuanced, or you don't have to play it black and white, you know, you can do things. So it's also just a way of participating in the whole environment and try to make female characters that are human beings and not
more dimensional.
Too flat.
Yeah. And then the directors, they appreciate it by and large.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, I have had the privilege to work with the directors that invited me in to be co-creative and part of the sometimes part of the script writing. I'm not a writer, but I you know, comment on collaborate and I of course like that. It's very inspiring. It doesn't have to be like that, but it is very inspiring to work together.
As we wind down, this is the wild card part of the. I'm curious because you're from Denmark and I've been there, and my first girlfriend was Danish, but that's another story.
No, let's hear that story.
Well, I went to Copenhagen in 1988.
Oh,
89, 88. I think it was 88 actually.
Yeah,
maybe a little earlier actually. Now that I think 86.
Yeah.
And she broke up with me right there.
Oh, so you hate
right
Denmark?
No.
You hate Danish girls?
No, I got over it.
It's like another big wound in your...
Yeah, it's a little bit of a wound, but it's okay. I've come a long way.
Understand.
It's many years ago.
But it will never disappear.
Have you done any dogma? What?
It will never disappear.
Not quite. It's in there. It's in the... I have to own it.
It will stain you forever. But that's why we make cinema. That is my thing. I mean, we make cinema to share all these existential themes that we can't talk about, that doesn't have words. Existential loneliness, your lost love in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
I mean, all these. No, but I'm not kidding. I'm actually saying this because I think it's important that we are sharing these moments, and if you can put just small moments of that into a film, or give your character small cracks where you invite the audience into their inner chaos, so we understand a little bit what they are struggling with. Then we can connect and share and understand.
which is cathartic, and being able to share and to have that experience is really a positive. That's why we have art. I mean, I think ultimately, exactly. Just as postscript here, have you done any dogma? Have you had any?
Yeah,
you've done
I was in the celebration.
Oh right,
yeah.
That's
I was playing the maid in the celebration that was in love with the main character, and he invites her to Paris, and we Ulrik Thomsen and we collaborated again with Thomas Vinterberg in a film called The Commune. That was I got a very important prize for that at the Berlinale.
Vienna.
So that was so fun. 20 years after, we worked again together, the three of us, and we were then a couple in the film. And I've done also, that was Dogma, I don't know if the celebration was Dogma 1 or 2, or The Idiots by Lars von Trier was 1 or 2.
I haven't seen
That's
that
a great film.
I know. I haven't. I'm trying to find a copy.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, no, I've not seen it, but that's like,
amazing.
Outrageous. Supposed to be really outrageous.
But I did the celebration with Thomas Vinterberg, and then I did Dogma 10. That is, it takes place in a female prison, women prison, and I'm playing a woman that lost her child, and it was her fault. And it's a female director called Annette K. Olesen. It's called In Your Hands. It was Dogma 10.
So
I've
they
done
number them.
two Dogma films.
Oh wow! I got to catch up.
But that's many years ago.
I've seen the celebration, but it's been a while. But
you don't remember me. It's okay. I don't take it personally.
I may. We'll be going back and catching up.
Well,
again.
I was very young. I look different now. So it's already it's so many years since we did that film.
Well, it's part
time
of
is
seminal
passing
work.
by.
Those are seminal works,
and you still feel like
you look great, and wasn't sure what I was going to expect. I thought I was going to get a junkie here who was going to be in a bad mood.
I'm not a junkie.
Thank you so much. It was really great meeting you.
Yeah, it was.
And pleasure meeting you.
Great to meet you.
Thank you. And wish you all the luck with Nico 1988. Currently in theaters.
Yeah.
As we say. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot.
Trine.